All right, everyone, you've tuned into our Wednesday business and tech talks discussions. I'm the host, the tour guide. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is October 19th, 2022. At any point in time you're consuming this, I can genuinely only hope you're doing well. So I picked up a new book, was able to read it thankfully, and I wanted to share some of the tidbits and highlights and important talking points in that book. So it's the 1 Minute Manager Self-Leadership. Okay, so mastering your own ability to self-leader or self-govern, however you want to pose it. So here's what I got from it that I felt was worth sharing with you guys, the masses. Very, very great information. So ultimately, it's in your best interest to accept responsibility for getting what you need to succeed in the workplace. So overall, this book's just discussing how to improve workplace environment management and employee interactions, and how to just pretty much empower each other and make the best out of the workplace environment. All right, so let's start. Let me just start off with saying people are not mind readers. So what may be a priority to you may not be to someone else, or what motivates or propels one person to do something may not be the same. So they had an example or an exercise. They gave you a list of qualities that people consider for their workplace, what's priority to them. And they were supposed to put it in order, rank it into a priority list 1 through 10, 10 being most important and 1 being least important. Things like good work pay, appreciation for your work, ability to be creative, just different various questions. And what they discovered with this observation and getting people's different results, people have different priorities for different reasons for what makes a good work environment or what makes a job profitable or what motivates them to do their job. So there's different reasons why people do things. Some people want security. Some people want to be appreciated. Some people need a financial advantage. Some people want an opportunity to learn new skills and grow. So you can't assume that every person there is working with the same scope that you're working through or lens you're looking through. And we also can't assume that the employers or the managers in charge necessarily have the same objectives or consider what your objectives are for doing the job you're doing. So very important to keep that in perspective. So we need to talk a little bit more about this concept called elephant thinking, or simply put, limiting beliefs. On page 33, they have an example. An assumed constraint is a belief or a belief on past experience that limits your current and your future experiences. On 34, it says, being able to read people is a gift, but the greater gift is to know your own mind, which is what this book really helps you focus in on. So learning cycles of PowerPoints. And I felt this was one of the most critical and crucial parts of this book. So there was, let me post. A couple of weeks ago, I made a post regarding knowing your job or knowing your role, and I reposted it on my Facebook recently. So oftentimes you go into a position or a job and you're told essentially this is your job, this is what you're supposed to do, these are your job titles and expectations. But how often do we really delve into what your role is? Because there's a slight subtle difference. You can go over the responsibilities, of course. This is what your job is, this is what you're supposed to do. But your role is how it contributes to the bigger picture, the bigger outcome, how how it reflects with the entire company and the entire environment that you're working for. On page 50, it says, don't buy into the assumed constraint that position power is the only power that works. So the person who's a manager, the CEO, don't think that that's the only individual who holds any power or possesses all the power. So a question you need to consider is, do you feel powerless at work or inside the role or job that you play in your own household and your own personal lives? Do you feel powerless? Many assume that it's because they're not in a position to get people to do what they want them to do. So the authors surveyed managers, and many of them actually do want empowered people, individuals they can respect and trust to make good business decisions. So this is based on whether the person's in a position of authority or not. They want people who can, they can respect and to make business decisions. When asking employees, they've expressed that they want honesty from the organizations that they're working for, as well as an opportunity to learn new skills. So oftentimes we don't think about that. There's a quote saying, "I want to have better skills and I want to be more valuable than I was before." Excuse me. So the problem arises, though, oftentimes when managers the problem arises when managers still want to be in charge. On page 8 it says, "The traditional hierarchy of leadership has evolved into a new order, empowerment of the individuals." So this is why I'm bringing this up. We're not talking about a new government world order, but a new thought process, a new, as they say, a new, where was the word? No, I didn't put the word down, but yes, we're getting rid of the traditional hierarchy of leadership and it's involved in something. Okay, so a new order, empowerment of individuals. The problem is how to get people to grab hold and run with the ball that's been handed to them. So these are what we're going to kind of discuss now. The focus is now how to help people move from the victim mindset to empowerment problem solvers. So many fall victim to the elephant thinking that there's only one form of power that a boss holds, which is a limiting thinking. So we need to understand the 5 different power points that is necessary for any organization or company to work. There's different power points, they say. So one is knowledge power, personal power, task power, relationship power, and position power. So quick little synopsis of each segment. All right, so knowledge. Those who are the experts in their fields. They know what they're talking about. They know everything about it. You possess that power by being an expert. 2, personal power, and that's the ability to give assurance to people and make them feel comfortable with the work that needs to be done and the cost involved. Number 3, task power. For example, a person that has one particular role, job, as we talked about, such as a bookkeeper, or a person who performs a specific job which is vital for everyone, even if it's not doing the actual job. You could say the housekeeping and janitorial staff also would be a task power. Someone that does bookkeeping and making sure everyone gets their paycheck and everything's done appropriately with taxes and withholdings and all of that stuff. You have task power, and you cannot really fully function in a facility, an environment that's not clean. So housekeeping, janitorial staff, crucial and vital to any company, often gets overlooked, but you possess that power. So that's task power. Relationship power is when people are your passion, and you have networking ability and you focus on people and relationships. Also, family and people you're close to. So relationship power is very, very important. If you focus less on the product and more on the person and the passion for helping and extending that is relationship power. So position power, it's a combination of the person who's in charge, of course, but also the power you have in your own position. And on page 60 it says, the best leadership situation is where you have position power and you never have to use it. It's better to have people work with you and not for you. And I remember sharing a couple of months ago on one of our business tech talks discussions, one of the employers that I worked for, we had gone through 6 managers in 1 year. Everyone was trying to compete for a shift lead position, and we kept having a huge turnover rate with managers. And one of them who came on, he took each employee outside individually and spoke with us one-on-one, and pretty much gave us this motivational little talk saying, look, I can't do my job without you. Okay, you guys are actually the ones that make the business run. So me as your manager, what is it that I need? No, I'm sorry, what is not what I need, sorry. He said, what is it that you need from me so I can help facilitate or make that happen so we can get this job going or this business going more smoothly. And I'm sure I've had other managers who may have had that mindset, but he's literally the only one who's flat out said, like, I cannot do my job without you. And what can I do to help you to make the job better? And I appreciate that, and that stuck with me for years, and I have that same mentality. It's like, dude, I know a lot of managers who want to be like big and bad, because you have to be. Honestly, let's be real. There are environments where people are extremely lazy, they are entitled, they take advantage, they don't want the job, they're just doing it because they have to, and they don't really have any pride or passion in what they're doing. We realize that. We know there's people like that out there who don't want to work, and they make it difficult for everyone else. So managers have to get tough. They have to put their foot down. They have to become, as they say, the bad guy. But then you also have people who just want to work, but they don't feel as if they have any say or any opportunity to advance or do anything. So they're kind of strapped, feeling like the elephant, thinking that they can't advance, they can't learn new skills, they can't do anything, and they're at the mercy of their employer. So this is what we're talking about, this shift, where I think we're beginning to see that for the most part, the average person, the employer and the employee, the subordinate and the supervisor are coming to this point where it's like, we need both people to be empowered. We want to support one another. We need to find a way to work together. So like that last quote said, you know, having a position of power and being in a position of leadership, I thought it was really profound. It says, the best leadership situation is where you have position power and never have to use it. It's better to have people work with you and not for you. And I think a lot of people are trending that way. We've seen what happens when you burn employees out, and when you have people who just don't care anymore. They've lost their spirit and will to work, and like, where do we go from here? How do we recover? So that's why I felt that book was very, very vital. There's a lot more helpful information, how to self-diagnose your problem, where you're at in a particular crunch at work or situation, what you can do to get out of it and self-improve. So if you have an opportunity to get a copy of the book, recommend it. Totally would self-diagnose yourself and figure out what stage you're at in development and what you can do to self-improve and get out of it. So with that, I've been your host, the tour guide. At any point in time you're consuming this, I can genuinely only hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, God's peace.